students. Today we are going to learn class 10th Geography, chapter number 1, Resources and Development. So let us start. In this chapter, we will learn about resources, classification of resources, and they are on the basis of origin, on the basis of exhaustivity, on the basis of ownership, and on the basis of the status of the development. Then we will see about development of resources and resource planning. So let us start. So let us see first about this diagram. Here in this diagram or in a flowchart, what you can see, how resources are divided. So here, as you can see, resources are natural resources and human resources. In natural resources, there are two types, that is renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Whereas in human resources, there are structures and institutions and quantity and quality. Here, in renewable resources, there are two subtypes, that is continuous and biological. In continuous resources, you can see continuous or flow, that is wind, water. These are continuous resources. These are natural but continuous resources. Whereas in biological resources, you can see natural vegetation, that is forest, and wildlife. Here, biological means living. The natural vegetation, forest, trees are living things. And other one is wildlife. Animals, birds, everything is included in that. Whereas in non-renewable resources, we can see recyclable and non-recyclable. Recyclable resources are metals, whereas non-recyclable resources are fossil fuels. Metals we can recycle again and again and again. Recycling means using the same product for again and again. We are reusing it. We can recycle it. Whereas non-recyclable resources are those which we cannot use again and again. For example, fossil fuels, once we have used it, we cannot use it again. Let us move forward. So what are resources? Let us see about resources. Everything in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs and is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable is termed as resources. Human beings themselves are essential component of resources. They transform material available in the environment into resources and use them. So what you can say, what are resources? Resources are the things, everything which is there in our environment which we use to satisfy our wants, our needs, and it is available in the environment. So let us go for the classification of resources. So resources can be classified into the following way. They are classified on the basis of origin, that is biotic and abiotic. B, on the basis of exhaustibility, that is renewable and non-renewable. C, on the basis of ownership, that is individual, community, national and international. And the last one, on the basis of the status of development, that is potential, developed stock and reserve. Don't worry, this is not it. We will explain this, we will see this one by one. So let us go for that. So first, on the basis of origin, that is biotic and abiotic. So what are the biotic resources? Biotic resources are obtained from the biosphere and have life. So these are the living things. For example, human beings, flora and fauna, fisheries and livestock. So that is human beings, humans, flora and fauna, that is trees, flowers, fisheries, fishing, livestock. All this comes under biotic resources. Whereas abiotic resources, what are abiotic resources? All those things which are composed of non-living things. Non-living things are called as abiotic resources. For example, rocks and metals. They are also here in the nature, but they are not living things. They are non-living things, rocks and metals. Let us move forward. Second one is on the basis of exhaustibility, that is renewable resources and non-renewable resources. The resources which can be renewed or reproduced by physical, chemical or mechanical process are known as renewable or replenishable resources. The renewable resources may further be divided into continuous or flow. That is, for example, solar and wind energy, water, forest and wildlife, etc. So, renewable resources are those which can be renewed again. They are flowing. For example, the energy which we get from sun. It's not like that today we have used it, so we cannot use it again. Tomorrow also we can use it. Wind energy, we can use it again and again. Water, it's continuous. Wildlife, etc. We can use it again and again. Whereas non-renewable resources are those which occur over a very long geological time. These resources take millions of years in their formation. Some of the resources which are non-renewable, like metal, are recyclable, and some like fossil and fuels cannot be recycled and get exhausted with their time. As you know, for getting different types of fuel, for example, petrol, diesel, all these take a long time to get formed. Their formation takes very long time. So these are non-renewable resources. For example, minerals and fossil and fuels. Let us move forward. Next we will learn resources on the basis of ownership, that is individual, community, national and international. Individual resources. Individual resources are owned privately by individuals. That is, for example, in a villages, people own land, whereas in urban areas, people own plots, houses and other property. For example, we can see where there are rural areas, people own areas and areas, acres and acres of land. Whereas if we move to urban area, to city area, we can see people doesn't own land. We own plots or houses or other property. So the example is given over here just like that. Plantation, pasture lands, ponds, water in wells, etc. Community owned resources. That is, they are accessible to all the members of community. Here, these resources are open for all the community. For example, grazing grounds, burial grounds, public park, picnic spots, playgrounds. The playgrounds, the picnic spots or the gardens, the public parks are not someone's individual property. It's not. It is for the whole community. So these are community owned resources. Let us move forward. National resources. What are the national resources? We can see national resources are owned by a nation or a country. All the minerals, water resources, forest, wildlife, land within the political boundaries and oceanic area up to 12 nucleatic miles, 22.2 km from the coast termed as territorial water and resources therein belong to the nation. that is roads, canals, railways, etc. means all the resources, that is mineral, water resources, forest, wildlife, land within the political boundaries of a country or the oceanic area are termed as national resources, that is roads, canals, railways, etc. Whereas international resources are regulated by international institutions. The oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical miles of the exclusive economic zone belong to open ocean, and no individual country can utilize this without the concurrence of the international institution. Let us move forward. Last, we are going to see on the basis of the status of development, that is potential, developed stocks and reserve. Potential resources are the resources which are found in region but have not been utilized. Here, these are found in region, but it has not been utilized. We have not used it properly. We can see this through the example. Rajasthan and Gujarat have enormous potential for the development of wind and solar energy. But so far, these have not been developed properly. In Rajasthan and Gujarat, there is, as we know, the climate of that area, the weather, it's so hot. So we can use solar energy there, but it has not been used. There is nothing for that. They have not been developed properly. Whereas developed resources are those resources which are surveyed and their quality and quantity have been determined for utilization. So these are those resources which we can use for proper development. For example, hydrogen can be used as rich resources for energy, that is rich resource of energy, but we do not have advanced technology to use it. And the last one is reserve. Reserves are the subset of the stock which can be put into use with the help of exciting technical know-how, but their use has not been started. For example, water in dams, forests, etc. are reserves which can be used in the different way in the future. So let us see now development of resources, how we can develop the resources. Resources have been used by human beings indiscriminately, and this has led the following major problems. The depletion of resources for satisfying the greed of few individuals, accumulation of resources in few hands, which in turn divided the society into two segments, that is rich and poor. So what we are doing, the humans are using these resources as per their want. They are using it for their own satisfaction. Because of that, because of this human greed, there has been two sections, there has been two segments in the society, rich and poor. It has led to global ecological crises such as global warming, ozone layer depletion, environmental pollution and land degradation. Resource planning is essential for the substantial existence of all forms of life. Sustainable economic development means development should take place without damaging the environment, without harming the environment. And development in the present should not compromise with the needs of future generation. So that means just to satisfy our wants, just to complete our needs, we should not compromise with the future generation. Here, resource planning. In India, there are some regions which can be considered self-sufficient in terms of availability of resources, and there are some regions which have acute shortage of some vital resources. These call for balanced resource planning at the nation, state, regional and local levels. So resource planning in India involves a complex process, that is identification and inventory of resources, evolving a planning structure, matching the resource development plans with overall national development plans. That's it for today. Thank you, students.